Advocates are sounding the alarm about a set of measures that they say target teaching and writing related to LGBTQ issues, race, and more broadly, freedom of speech. Around the country, efforts to ban specific books or even whole categories of books are on the rise. Jeffrey Brown has a conversation for our Arts and Culture series, Canvas.
Can you tell me, does equity and inclusion also include incestuous relationships,
contentious school board meetings,
child-adult sex, and books that promote pedophilia,
and controversial decisions to remove books from the curriculum, political campaign ads,
It was some of the most explicit material you can imagine.
and moves in state legislatures to target subject areas and even penalize librarians who keep titles on their shelves. Books, especially focused on race and LGBTQ issues, are being challenged, in some cases taken off school and public library shelves. The American Library Association says it received 330 reports of book challenges in the fall of last year, more than double the amount received for all of 2020. And PEN America, a free speech advocacy group, reports that since January 2021, 174 education-focused legislative bills were introduced in 40 states that target content in a variety of ways. 162 of those target K-12 education. And it's spreading to public universities, with bills explicitly directed at higher education. PEN America recently announced a new book defense fund with seed money from Penguin Random House CEO Marcus Dola to educate the public and partner with local communities to fight book bans. There's a long history of book controversies in this country, says PEN America CEO Suzanne Nossel. But this feels different.
It's an intensification, far more book bans sprouting up all over the country than we ever saw before, more formalized efforts, not just a challenge in an individual school system or library, but legislation being introduced in state houses that would affect the availability of books, all over the state and every school and library. The ferocity of the debates and the link to larger political tensions and polarization, it's inflaming communities, and that's something we haven't seen before.
What books do you see most affected? Where's the impact?
It's overwhelmingly books by and about people of color and LGBTQ individuals. So it can be stories about a transgender kind of coming of age story, stories about slavery, about Black Americans and the Black experience and racial injustice in this country. So those kinds of narratives that are something other than kind of a pure, very traditional, what some people might think of as a standard old school American story.
And I'm sure you've thought about sort of why now? I mean, what happens in the culture to bring something like this to the fore?
I think it's a product in part of demographic and political and cultural change that is afoot in this country. We're becoming a much more pluralistic country without any one single dominant racial group. And there's a backlash to that. There's a sense that something is being lost, that the way people grew up, the stories that they read, the world that they saw decades ago is changing, and maybe changing too quickly, and that can be seen as threatening.
Because it is true that the book publishing world, school libraries around the country have in recent years introduced more books around gender issues, around race issues.
I think that's part of it. There's also a level at which this is politically manufactured. There is an effort to gin up support for certain parties, certain ideologies. There's a lot of frustration among parents after the last couple of years with schools being disrupted during the pandemic, debates over masking. And this is kind of a vein that they've tapped. You think about a pocketbook issue that affects somebody at home. This is a backpack issue.
But it is also still the case in this country, for the most part, that the education system is local, the public libraries are local. Who decides?
There are very well-established patterns. Typically, it's librarians who make choices about what to purchase. It's teachers and principals who decide what's going to be on the curriculum. Parents can be part of a school board. They can come to a PTA meeting if they have concerns. They can raise those. This is something different.
We are focusing right now, for the most part, on recent challenges from conservatives. But I know your organization has also done a lot of work around universities, the education system, on challenges from the left. Is our country now politicized in this way, in the way we look at books?
Yeah, I worry that sort of free speech is losing its grounding on both the right and the left. On the left, we see a lot of people, and particularly in a rising generation, who see free speech as kind of a smokescreen for hatred, as just a way of sheltering those who victimize and protecting bigotry, legitimizing bigotry. They've lost a sense of why it is that free speech protections are so fundamental to the movements that they're trying to wage, whether it's for racial justice or gender justice or climate justice. You need free speech protections in order to go to battle on those issues and be able to put forward your perspective, to challenge authority. So that's happening on the left. And then on the right, we see this kind of startling invocation of the means of government, the power of government, legislation, to dictate on the basis of viewpoint what can be in a school curriculum, what even can be taught in colleges and universities.
I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because if you think about writers and books through history have been revolutionary, they've been used as weapons, they've been used to push ideas forward, but you're seeing books being weaponized in a different way.
Yeah, but I think it's an illustration of just how powerful books are. I mean, we sort of think in the digital age, is anybody still reading? Do these books still matter? They still matter, and that's what we see in these battles.
All right, Suzanne Nossel, PEN America, thank you very much.
Thank you.